What are the pros and cons of index funds versus target dates for a 401k?
Okay, so an index fund is a passively managed investment like the S&P 500. So
Yeah,
say
it tends to be a lower cost.
you can go to Vanguard and buy the S&P 500 ETF. The ticker symbol is VOO. Okay, so there's no manager there. Vanguard does package it and put it together, but you know the internal expenses are very, very low because they're not having to pay a manager to kind of sit there and pick and choose. And so that's what an index fund. A target date fund usually has a date on it, you know, target date 2025,
It's usually when you want to retire.
Yeah. And so that's the thought process is that you would say, okay, I'm going to retire in 2045 or, you know, whatever it is, and based on your age. And so I'm going to buy that one. And what they do then is that they have, you know, maybe more stock in a 2045 target date than a 2025 target date because that's not very far away. So as it gets closer to the target date, they actually start rotating those down into, you know, more conservative areas. Target dates are by far, in my opinion, and I don't remember the numbers, but there's lots of money in target date funds now inside these 401ks. They make sense. And the one nice thing about a target date fund is that they buy everything: large cap, mid cap, small cap, you know, international, U.S. bonds and stocks, and they're very well diversified as far as that goes. And so, you know, I like that. And so one of the reasons I think people use target date funds all the time is because there also isn't that many other options.
It's really easy to do.
Yeah, very, just, oh, I'm going to retire in 2045. I take that, you know, take that one. I put my money in there and I don't worry about it. So it is easy. But there are some issues, you know, and they underperform for quite a while here because they've had a large exposure to international stock. And international, I don't know, the last time it seemed to really have a run was back in the, you know, early 90s and 88, I remember, you know, so that's a long time ago. And so the U.S. market has been, you know, kind of outperforming. And so, but you can't change the allocation.
Yeah, you have no control.
You have no control. You can maybe change the allocation of how much stock or bond and say, hey, I want to get more conservative. I'm actually going to buy that 2025, even though I'm not retiring then, because you'll know that there's more bonds in that. So you can change it a little, but you're still going to end up with exposure to things that might be really underperforming. You know, long term, that probably works out. You're still buying the international with each paycheck, you know, and eventually international does well, but man, it's been a long time. So that's where you can use those indexes to kind of create your own portfolio and to be able to, you know, create your own allocation. And we do that. You know, we help people manage their 401ks. The disadvantage that we run into is that there usually isn't enough options outside the target date funds to even create a decent portfolio. Some are. I've seen some good 401ks, but a whole lot of them are not good.
Yeah, you can be stuck with some expensive international ETFs, so you can't even invest in international anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of a problem as far as that goes. Now, there is another option. Many, and a lot of people don't know this, but many of these things have a self-directed brokerage option. You go to your 401k, you know, human resources or 401k provider and ask if they have that. And they push it out into that self-directed 401k. And then usually you can buy almost anything.
Yeah. Some companies put restrictions, but you kind of have control. It broadens the market. You're not stuck to the 40 to 50 holdings that they allow you in the 401k.
Yeah, and oftentimes when we're managing a 401k, that's what we're looking for. Do they have self-directed? And we try to get that. We help the client set that up. And then we can, you know, for most times we can just buy our existing models inside that 401k and we can manage it. We can use our red, green, and yellow light system to kind of to deal with it. We usually use the slower signals on those just because, you know, that's a more longer term asset and there is money coming in, you know, to those on a regular basis, which I do like. So nothing wrong with target date funds whatsoever. Oftentimes it's the best choice.
I think if you're starting out and you don't really have the time or want to put in the effort, I think a target date is a good starting spot.
Yeah, yeah.